Hello everyone, very good evening. Welcome to all aboard. My name is Varsha Diman, and this is our ARD current affairs session that we have on every Friday at 6 p.m. Right? So the aspirants who are there in the class, please let me know that the voice is okay and the screen is also clearly visible to you, and let me know how you all are doing, how's your preparations going on. So on the coming 25th, you guys will be having your phase 2 examination, right? And before your phase 2 examination, you need to revise your concepts, you need to do all your revisions well, okay? Because it will be descriptive and objective both. And still you will have any such queries related to the preparations, please let me know in the comment box. Okay, so let's start our today's very important session. There are so many important events that we have to cover, okay, that held in the last week, that is from 10th of January till 16th of January 2026. Okay, so let's start our discussion. Let's talk about our today's very important points. Am I clearly audible and visible to everyone? The voice is okay and the screen is also clear, aspirants? Yeah, is everything okay? Okay. So let's begin. Let's start. Here we go. See, aspirants, you should have the application of Oliver, right? Because your preparation related study materials are available here. So it will help you to go ahead with good study materials and all your preparation strategies, right? And this is a complete course, right? So aspirants who are thinking of planning for NABARD Grade A examination in the year 2026, they can be the part of this complete course. Okay, classes had just started, like we just had one or two classes only, and with this course you will be provided with books also, so you can be the part of this batch, and that's how you can have the classes with us, right? And apart from that, the one who are going to appear for the phase 2, right? So this is a crash course. You can use this crash course for your last minutes revision. All the classes notes are available here, like nearly 30 plus ARD descriptive questions we had practiced here, and similarly you can find the questions related to the ESI portions and descriptive English as well. Okay, so you can take the help of this crash course to do your revision for phase 2. Now let's talk about. So firstly, I'm covering at the end of a year, we have some year and review reports or like digits. Okay, so recently the achievements and initiatives of Ministry of for Food Processing Industries has released their year end review, and as per the year end review, I'm just covering the points which are important, the data which is important, and the chances, like the chances are quite high for the coming examination, that's why we are covering it here. So as per this report or this year end review, we can observe that like in the year 2014-15, okay, the share of processed food exports in agri food export was only 13.7%. Now it has substantially increased and now it has become 20.4%. So it can show that how much improvement has occurred in our food processing industries. Okay, how much new objectives that we had decided, new schemes and projects, and help us to do all these achievements, right? Now, going ahead, if I look at the food processing sector, it is considered as one of the largest employment provider in the organized manufacturing sectors. Okay, like the people who are connected with this sector, definitely they will get good incomes and good employment opportunities, because in the meantime we had observed that our value addition process for our horticultural crops specifically has improved, and because of which our horticulture crops has also started gaining good importance or good economic value globally. So on the other hand, employment opportunities has also improved in the food processing sector. Okay, and with this we can say like 12.83% employment in the total registered or organized sector, as per the report of annual survey of industries. Okay, so we can say that this sector is showing one of the largest employment opportunity. Like the people who are connected with this sector, they are getting the good employment opportunities. And other notable achievements of the last year are, so it is also observed that, yeah, if like every year, like in the next month, we will observe that the union budget and every ministry get their budget allocations. Okay, so on the basis of the budget allocations, they will plan the different schemes of different programs that will help in the overall development of a specific area or a ministry. Okay, so in the last year, it was observed that the budget allocation for the sectoral development for the development of food processing sector has also increased. So it means that government is emphasizing on the development or the improvement in this sector. So that's how the budget allocation has shown an increase in the values. Okay, so it is mentioned government of India has allocated budget allocation or the in the budget the complete estimate of rupees 4064 crore to Ministry for Development of Food Processing Sector in the year 2026-27. Okay, which shows that there's an increase of about 13.79% from revised estimate of. So in the estimate earlier it was 3571.57 crore. Now it was revised and it's shown an increased value of 13.79%. Okay. Similarly, if we look at the quantum jump in sectoral achievements, so you can see the gross value added in food processing sector, it has increased. So in the year 2014-15, it was only 1.34 lakh crore. And now, as per the first revised estimate of 2023-24, it has increased to rupees 2.24 lakh crore. Okay, so with this, if we observe the foreign direct investment equity inflow during this time period of 10 years, so this sector has shown or this sector has attracted a foreign direct investment of US dollar 7.33 billion. So it also shows that the food processing sector is showing a good jump. Okay, so when we start investing in one thing, like if and with the time we start observing the good results in a specific direction, we it give us a good boost, like we are moving in a good direction. Okay, so this sectoral jump is showing that the investment in the food processing sector and the good budget allocation or financial allocation in this sector is about to give us good results in the future as well. Okay, now and the share of processed food exports has increased, so this we had discussed. Okay, moving ahead, you can see this is about the first important news article. Now, another important news article is in the last class, there's one session where we discussed about nutrient based subsidy. Okay, so government provides nutrient based subsidies to the farmers so that they can have the fertilizers at affordable prices. Okay, because fertilizers are needed so that the soil will have all the essential nutrients, and with the help of these nutrients your crop will also grow well, and that's how you will get the good productivity from the agricultural land area. Right, now what the government has decided, like we need to provide fertilizer security. Okay, why there's a need arises to give the fertilizer security so that we can promote the domestic fertilizers growth. Okay, so this is also an initiative or a step to promote Atmanirbharta in fertilizer. Okay, and we are also taking step ahead so that we will have new fertilizer plants. Like in the last year budget, we discussed about that a second urea based fertilizer plant is about to establish in Namrup, Assam. Okay, similarly, we are working on doing the like structural changes or infrastructural changes in the fertilizer plants that we are already having. Okay, we are modifying the processes. Why? Because we want to have Atmanirbharta in fertilizer production in the next few years. Okay, and with this, nearly 73% of country's total fertilizer requirement was met through domestic production. So when fertilizer security will be provided, like you get a security. Okay, what happened, like you get someone is acting as a blanket behind you and someone is protecting you. So government is protecting the domestic manufacturers. Okay, and when the domestic manufacturers will be protected, one thing, they will give you the best of the output because someone is protecting them. Another thing, they will get a space to expand. So in this manner, what happened, like 73% of the country's total fertilizer requirement, now we are able to meet it with the domestic fertilizer only. We are not dependent upon the imported fertilizer now. Okay. So this is a government step towards long-term supply agreements. Okay. So these fertilizer companies or manufacturers, okay, they will provide the good key raw materials, and that's how in a strategic manner we'll be able to become Atmanirbhar in fertilizer productions in the meantime. Okay. And if we talk about the total domestic production of fertilizers, which includes urea, DAP, NPKs, SSP. So it has increased from, so in the year 2021, it was 433.29 lakh tons, and now it has increased to 467.87 lakh tons in 2022. And now you can see in the year 2023, it has jumped to 507.93 lakh tons. Okay. And now also we are observing a upward trend, and in the year 2025 it has jumped to the value of 524.62 lakh tons. So how is it possible? Because you are getting a security. Okay, when you get all the facilities available to you at your ground, definitely it will help you to improve your conditions. Okay, so this is our initiative to support, and this is in vision of Atmanirbharta in fertilizer production also. Like India achieves all time high fertilizer production in 2025. Okay, and it is all because of fertilizer security. Okay, it is all because of fertilizer security, and like taking steps so that we will not support the imported fertilizer anymore. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Akhil, hello. Yeah. Yeah, Akhil. Say, are you getting all these points? Next is so this is the table. You guys should be aware about this particular table. Now moving ahead. So this is another very important news article. So we all know that this is a very good cropping season, sowing season. Like harvesting season is about to begin. Okay, so like day before yesterday, we also had celebrated the Makar Sankranti festival. Okay, which is a festival related with the onset of harvesting, right? So this is a time for our rabi crops, right? And mustard, you might have seen in the like fields of Haryana, Punjab, the mustard fields, like how beautifully they are visible to us. Okay, so what we are observing, like major and one of the largest oil seed crop, that is mustard, it is facing a major yield threat because of this weed growth with it. Okay, and that is parasitic weed Oro Bank Egyptiaca in Rajasthan and Haryana. Okay, so we need to talk about this weed and how is it impacting our mustard fields. Okay, so let's do, and it is generally known as margosa. Okay, so margosa, what is it's a root parasitic flowering weed. Okay, so basically what it do, it attacks on the roots of the plant. It takes the nutrients, it takes the support from the roots of the plant, okay, alongside of which this weed is growing, okay, and that's how it depresses the growth of the plant. So it is growing uh, like near to the roots of the crops of mustard, extracting water, carbon, and nutrients from the mustard crop. And what will happen, like mustard yield is deteriorating. Okay, so this weed is, yeah, this weed is this weed is not indigenous weed, it is a exotic weed. Okay, it is native to Mediterranean, West Asian regions and has spread to South Asia, North Africa, and parts of Europe, becoming a major problems in oil seeds and vegetable crops. So if we look at this weed, like which particular crop is affected by this weed, so majorly this weed affect the crops like oil seeds, mustards, and other vegetable crops also. Okay, now how is spread? So basically, the areas where you are growing your mustards, okay, especially in the areas of Rajasthan and Haryana, okay, so it seeds Like it's not like someone is spreading the seeds in the soil now. No, the seeds have a good viability or a good lifespan. Like they can remain viable in the soil up to 20 years. Uh, And that's the reason you are doing the crop rotation practices. You are applying the herbicides or killing the weeds by different measure, but still some seeds will remain in the soil, and that's how they will sprout and they can cause a threat to the major crop that you are growing. Okay, and these seeds are very lighter. Okay, so these seeds can easily spread with the help of wind, water, air, farm tools, and contaminated soil, and that's how it can cause danger to the major crop that you are growing in the field areas. Okay, so if I talk about the important features of this weed, so it's an obligate parasite. Obligate parasite, there are two types of parasite. One are the facultative parasites and another are the obligate parasites. Obligate parasites are the plants or any organism that need the host plant at all the stages of their life. Like they cannot survive without the host plant. Okay, it is very important for them to remain in close association with the host to grow. Okay, and underground attack, like they are attacking the roots of the host plant. So it's a root parasite. Okay, and by attacking the roots of the host plant, it is taking the food, it is taking the water, carbon dioxide, and all such nutrients from the host plant, and because of which the host plant will suffer. The host plant will not be able to grow properly, right? Now it is having a high productive capacity. As I mentioned, that the seeds can remain viable for 20 years, and one plant can produce 40 to 45 flowers, and with each flower you can observe like how much number of seeds they will produce. Like on an average 4,000 to 5,000 microscopic, very small size seeds will be produced from these flowers. And these seeds are very small and lighter in weight that they can easily flow with the help of air from one place to another. And that's how this weed growth will spread. Okay. And if you will irrigate the soil like this, in the meantime, like the seed has dispersed in the soil and you are just about to irrigate the specific field area so that the water requirements of the crop will be fulfilled. These seeds will also get the nutrition, the water requirements will be fulfilled, and that's how it can attack the mustard roots, and that's how it can spread with the mustard. Okay. Now, so what implications it will cause, like how the mustard plant will show, or what are the symptoms you can observe in the mustard plant after the attack of this margosa weed. So the plant will show wilting, yellowing, and stunted growth, and in the meantime you will observe that the yield loss will occur. Okay, so when the farmers will observe that his mustard field is showing some different symptoms, and which is an indication that a pest attack has occurred, a weed infestation has occurred. So what will happen? The farmer confidence will be reduced. Okay. And leading to shift away from mustard cultivation. So in the next year, he will not do the mustard cultivation. Okay. So in this manner, like we are moving, like we have one mission, that is National Mission for Oil Seeds. And as per this mission, we are working hard for the enhancement of milk oil seed production. Okay, so that we will become Atmanirbhar in oilseed production also, right? But if these kind of weed infestations will occur, when we will not having the genuine solution to deal with these problems, what will happen? The farmers will lose confidence in a crop and they will not grow the same crop again. Okay, when you came to know that you are about to be in loss conditions because of this particular crop cultivation, you will not take the risk again, no? Okay, so these implications one have to suffer because of this weed infestation. Okay, so this is one news. Now moving on, another news. So recently, this news is very important. This is a news of 12th of January 2026. So there is a strategic alliance. Okay, there's a memorandum of understanding was signed between ICAR, that is Indian Council of Agriculture Research, and National Dairy Development Board. And why there was need arises to have this MOU, so that these two institutions will come together and they will help in strengthening the research, innovations, and extensions. Okay, and these collaborations will help in multidisciplinary research, innovations, and capacity building across the entire dairy sector. Like what the achievements and extraordinary performances the ICR has received or ICR has given in the last few years. So, because of all these collaborations, the National Dairy Development Board will also get to know about all these new techniques and the strategies, and that's how it will help in the overall developments of overall overall developments in the dairy sector. Okay, so this is also very important news. So this MOU was signed between Dr. Raghavendra Bhatt. Who is he? He is Deputy Director General, Animal Science, ICAR. Shri S. Regupati, Executive Director, Operations, National Dairy Development Board. In the august presence of Dr. Mangi Lal Jat, is Secretary, Department of Agriculture, Research and Education, Government of India, and he is also Director General of ICR, and Dr. Minish Saha. He is Chairman of National Dairy Development. Like in your objective paper, you can have the question like who, which of the following, or who is the chairman of National Dairy Development Board. Okay, so that's why we are discussing about all these things, and these topics are really important. Okay, now moving ahead. So, as I already mentioned, if this MOU will be signed, the field experiences of one institution will be utilized by another institutions, and that's how collaborative research, collaborative developments of both institutions can take place. Okay. Now, another important news article. So, this is about Union Environment Minister, okay, Shri Bhupendra Yadav ji. So there was a meeting organized, and that meeting was organized on Nirantar platform. And the main agenda of this meeting was to strengthen coordinations among um, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change institutions. Okay, so why I decided to include this news article here? Because I want you guys to know about this Nirantar platform. Okay, and what is the full form of Nirantar? So it stands for National Institute for Research and Application of Natural Resources to Transform, Adopt, and Build Resilience. Okay, so it's a platform of institutions, and it is under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And the main aim of it is improving coordination. So this platform is helping in improving the coordinations and collaborations between the institutions. Okay, and there are four verticals of Nirantar, and they focus on the different aspects. Okay, they help in the research, assessment of outcomes, and their future utilizations also. Right? And the institutions like GB Pant National Institute for Himalayan Ecology and National Institute for Sustainable Coastal Management could play an important role in this regard through cooperations and collaborations. So he mentioned these are the institutions and they can give us the good results, good achievements. Okay, like we will take the advantages of their research, their experiments, and that will help us in cooperations and collaborations further, right? So these are the three aspects on which Nirantar is focusing upon, like research, its play in policy making and the way ahead, and the emphasize the importance of institution building through committed and capable human resources. Right? So this is all about this new news article. Now let's talk about another very important news. So the students who are there in the class, I just want to know, are you getting all these points? Give me a thumbs up or like the session. Yeah, the students who are there in the class, please mention in the comment box that you guys are getting all these points. And is everything clear? Thumbs up. Okay, moving ahead, let's talk about the another important news article. So this news article is related with our next important ministry. Okay, and this ministry is, yeah, Union Minister of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairy. So recently, Sri Rajiv Ranjan Singh ji visited Israel, okay, and he participated in second global summit on blue food security. See the future. Okay, so recently there's a summit. second global summit on blue food security, and where it was organized in Israel. Okay, and our Union Minister Shri Rajiv Ranjan Singh ji, he visited Israel, and when our ministers visit any other country for a specific summit or for a specific conference or event, definitely they go for the collaborations or the MOUs, so that the two countries will have a mutual ties or good bilateral ties to work for the development of a specific sector. Okay, so as this time, the summit was organized to for boosting our marine sector or our fishery sector. So that time, the main MOU or bilateral agreement that was signed between these two countries was related with the development of fishery sector. Okay. So, and during that time, you can see that the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security of Israel is Mr. Avi Dichter. Okay, and our minister participated in this summit. Okay, and separate bilateral meetings were organized. These two ministers participate in the meetings. They discussed about like what type of developments and what type of progresses they are doing in their fishery sectors, and how they can come together for the development of the fishery sectors in their nations. Okay, now, this news article is very important because this news article having all the important updates and the developments that we had in the fishery sector in the last year. Okay, so this news article is very important from examination point of view. Like we are about to discuss all the points that we had already covered so many times in the last year of 2020. Okay, so what we had observed that fishery sector has shown a good growth the last year. Okay, so it has fish production has increased to 197.75 lakh tons in fiscal year 2024-25, right? And that shows that like in the year 2013-14, the fish production was only 95.79 lakh tons, and now it is nearly double, or we can say there is a significant increase of 106%. Okay, so how is it possible? Yeah, Prabhu Jain, what has happened with you? Yeah. So how is it possible? Because of the initiatives, because of the schemes, okay? So it is to encourage the farmer, fish farmers specifically, so that they can come ahead and they can work to improve the livelihood condition that they are receiving from the fishery sector, right? Now we are the second largest fish producer in the world. Okay, and our fish production is contributing 8% to the global output. And we are also second in aquaculture production. We are leading in shrimp production and export of the shrimps, and we are the second largest producer in capture fisheries. And how is it possible for us to reach that highest superlative degrees? Because of the programs and schemes, okay, that we had launched in the specific sector to develop it, right? So when we talk about like how the things started, so in the year 2015, okay, there was a total investment of rupees 38,572 crore in the fishery sector, that is for the different schemes and the programs like for the blue revolution, fisheries and aquaculture infrastructure development funds, pradhan mantri matsya sampada yojana, pradhan mantri matsya kisan samriddhi yojana. Okay, so that's how the things began. Like government has allocated a good amount of fund for the development of this specific sector. So with this thought in mind, different schemes and programs were launched, funds were allocated, infrastructures were established, and farmers are provided with the financial assistance so that they can invest, they can work upon in this sector. Okay, and in this addition to this, our Honorable Prime Minister launched Dharti Abha Janjatiye Gram Utkarsh Abhiyan on 2nd October 2020. Okay. So under this, 25 interventions implemented by 17 line ministries, including, so under the different ministries, 25 interventions were implemented. And the main aim of all this to saturate infrastructural gaps. Okay, so infrastructure gaps will be reduced. Okay, and saturation will be attained through convergence and outreach. Okay, and a total of 5,000 567.5 units have been approved under Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, and that is amounting to rupees 146 crore, including a central share of rupees 89.09 crore, state share of 46.98 crore, and beneficiary contributions of 13.91 crore. Okay, so like with this, the process and the developments, the initial steps of development in the sector begin, right? And after that, as we all are aware about, in the last year budget, we discussed about the launching of the schemes like Pradhan Mantri Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana. And that was also related with like we need to develop 100 agri aspirational districts. Okay. Similarly, there were some initiatives taken for the development of fishery sectors, right? And with this scheme like PM Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana, right? Uh, it benefits 1.7 crore farmers directly, including the Department of Fisheries schemes, namely these schemes that we had already covered. Okay, and that's how with this the fisheries sector development has also begun. Okay, so in the last year, as we had specifically discussed about the achievements and the key takeaways for our agriculture sector, plus, there was specific mentions for the development programs in our fishery sector. We want to develop it the meantime. Okay. And with all these, as we had discussed about it, and with this, aquaculture productivity has also increased to 4.77 tons per hectare. Okay. And 7.43% of agriculture gross value added since 2014-15, highest amongst agri and elite sector, right? So this fishery sector has also shown a good gross value added ratios, right? And these are some important data you can go through. Like I'm adding this for you guys. You can use this informations while writing a good descriptive answer. Okay, but this was a data, that's why I was not discussing it. Let's move to another thing. Like what are the important achievements? So one was the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. That was for the development of fishery sector, and that is to financially support the fish farmers. Okay, so under the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, okay, we talk about inland fishery practices and marine fisheries practices. So under the inland fishery practices, we are working towards the developments of freshwater fishery practices. Okay, so for that, different number of cages, infrastructures, recirculatory aquaculture systems, biofloc units were approved. And for the marine fisheries, biotoilets in mechanized fishing vessels, open sea cage for fish culture, and all such infrastructural developments were approved, right? And then for the fish welfares, like the fishermen who are completely dependent upon the fishing practices for their livelihood, for their main income source. Okay, for them, replacement boats and nets are approved. Like these much nets should be provided to them. For the fisheries infrastructure, specific infrastructure should be there where the fishermen can cap the fishes that they are capturing, and they can provide it to the markets to fetch a good price from them. Aquatic health management, like if it is observed that the fishes are and the communities who are associated with the fish culture practices, they are suffering from any such health issues. So to manage all these things, aquatic health management was also mentioned. Okay, it was also considered. Ornamental fishery practices was also promoted, seaweed cultivation was also promoted, and all these approvals were given, right? Development of a northeast region, which is also a prominent areas where the fishing practices can give employment opportunities to a large population. So there also different units and infrastructures was approved. Outreach activities are promoted where the training and the capacity building programs are organized for the developments of fishermen, so that they will have the scientific knowledges about the practices that they have to follow in their fish farming practices. Okay. Now, Pradhan Mantri Matsya Kisan Samriddhi Sahay Yojana. So under this, there are different components. There are total 5 components. So under component 1A, okay, which was associated with the formulation of fishery sector, right? National Fishery Development Board was operationalized. Under component 1B, right, which was related with the adoption of agricultural aquaculture insurance. Under component 2, which is to support fisheries micro enterprises, like the small scale business which are associated with the fishery practice, to support them. Okay, so these are the different components of Matsya Kisan Samriddhi Sahay Yojana, where financial assistance are actually provided for the different components. Under component 3, fish safety, fish safety and quality assurance system. Okay, so under these different works related to the fish safety and quality assurance were approved. Under component 3, project management, monitoring and reporting. Okay, and all these things were considered, right? So this is about the different components of Pradhan Mantri Matsya Samriddhi Sahay Yojana. Now, if I talk about this Fisheries and Aquaculture Infrastructure Development Fund, so basically this fund help in the development of the structures, infrastructures, so that the fishing practices, ice box, okay, kiosk, where the fishes, where the fishermen can cap their fishes, cold chain storage practices, as some fishes you have to sell in the market in the live conditions, like what kind of practices you should adopt so that you can maintain the freshness in the fishes that you are providing to the providing to the markets for further sale purposes, right? So these are some important things. Aspirants Kisan credit card is to provide the financial assistance or to give them the financial facilities from the formal institutions. Dharti Abha Janjatiya Gram Utkarsh Abhiyan. Okay, so under this also different programs are launched to provide the infrastructure facilities, right? So this is all about it. You can go through all these points. The datas are there to help you to know like what kind of questions will be asked from this portion and how you can frame a good answer for the questions, right? Now moving on the next point, I'm directly going to the next important, which is just give me a minute. Yeah, so this is very important. That's why I decided to move on this particular topic. See, the datas I had added here, we had already covered it. Okay, when you will read it now, you will realize because World Fisheries Day we discussed, okay, National Fisheries Day we discussed, that was in July 2025. Recently, we'll be having in July 2026. Okay, the different initiatives taken in the fishery sector, we had already covered it, but it is in news now. That's why I'm adding it in the notes. Okay, you can get it in the notes. And what you can do, you can connect with me on my Telegram. There also you can get the notes or the PDFs of the classes that we are having here. And if you're having any doubt, you can ask me there as well. You can drop your doubts in the comment, right? So here let's talk about PESA, PESA, right? This is a topic from your rural development. So this is in news recently. So this act is implemented in Jharkhand after 25 years. Why there was a need arise to have this act again in Jharkhand, and what is this act is about? This act is about. So let's talk about it. Just give me a minute, please. Yeah. So, Jharkhand notified PESA rules in January 2026, 25 years after becoming a state, extending tribal self-governance to its fifth schedule areas. Okay. So, what is it, PESA or PESA Act? So, this is Panchayat extension to Schedule Areas Act that was enacted in the year 1996. Okay, that extends part 9 of the constitution, which is related with the Panchayat Raj specifically, to fifth scheduled tribal areas, recognizing Gram Sabha as the primary authorities over local governance. So, as per this, okay, it was recognized that Gram Sabhas are the primary authorities which are working at the local levels for the developments of the local areas, their land, forest, and community resources. Okay, so this act was enacted on 24th of December 1996, and that is to operationalize tribal self-rule in scheduled areas across 9 states, including Jharkhand. Okay, so after that it was implemented, and that was to operationalize this PESA Act was operationalized to self-rule, like tribal communities can self-rule in the specific areas which were considered as scheduled areas, and these 9 states has operationalized this PESA Act. Okay, so this was the thing that happened. Okay, so if I talk about the key history or the points related to this act, so it is colonial legacy of dispossession. Like if I talk about the British forest and land laws converted tribal communities into encroachers on their own land, destroying customary systems of governance. Okay, so this was also a point to be considered, like why there was a need arise to have this act. Okay. So, as per the British and the land laws, forest and the land laws, the tribal communities who are living in the forest areas, who are living in the close associations of the forest areas, they start considering them as the encroachers on the forest land. Although the land belonged to them, but they started considering them as an encroacher. So this act was enacted to protect them. Okay, like these are their lands, and you are having the rights over them. Constitutional response. The fifth schedule under Article 244 was designed to protect tribal areas, but without local self governance, it remained weak. Okay, under certain government acts or schedules, if articles, if it is mentioned like you are protected, okay, but you are not provided with any local governance, okay, any local self governance, like the things will appear more weak because you're not having power. Okay, you had provided with the responsibilities without any authority, and nobody will listen to you, no? Okay, so that's how it was needed to have the PESA Act. Then 73rd Constitutional Amendment, which happened in 1995, Panchayat Raj was introduced nationwide, but scheduled areas were kept outside its scope due to their spatial status. Okay, then Bhuria Committee of 1994 to 95, it recommended that Gram Sabhas, not bureaucracies, must control natural resources and development. So this committee was formed, and this committee recommended that Gram Sabhas will control the natural resources, not the bureaucrats. Okay, and they have all the right to work how to develop these tribal regions. Then after having all these points or all these recommendations with the time, then in the year 1996, Parliament passed this PESA Act, and that is to legally empower tribal villages through direct democracy. Okay, so that's why it is important. Like as per this new act, like it's not so new, it was enacted in 1996. The tribal areas will get all this local self-governance power, like they can protect their areas where they are living, right? So that was a need why the need for PESA Act implementation was needed, right? Now, what are the important features related to this act? Like Gram Sabhas, they have the supreme authorities, right? They will take all the major decisions needed in the villages. Okay, and it will also help in the protection of customary laws and the traditions and the cultures of the tribal areas or the villages or the local areas. It will give you the control over natural sources, like bureaucrats will not have the control. The gram sabhas will have the control, like how to protect the natural resources. Land acquisitions will be safeguarded. Okay, like you cannot acquire any land without consulting the Gram Sabhas, or illegal land transfers can be reversed. Okay, local governance powers, like villages, what they do, they regulate markets, money lending, liquor, and decide beneficiaries of government scheme. Like these are the government schemes and who should get the benefits of these government schemes. Okay, so these local governance powers will decide all these things. Right. Now the success now because of this PESA Act, yeah, Gram Sabhas and the local peoples, okay, because now they are having the localized democracies or democracy at the very grassroots level, okay. So these are the achievements of this PESA Act, like legal recognitions was given to traditional self-rule, okay, economic sovereignty over minor forest produce. It like non-timber forest products. Initially, like the forest departments were provided with all the ownerships of all the forest products that you are getting. But because of this PESA Act, now the tribal families who are living near to the forest areas, who are dependent upon the forest areas, now they can utilize all these forest products. Like they can utilize this non-timber forest products for their personal uses. Okay. Next is depend. So this also enhanced, or this also shows that participatory democracy is going, like the one authority is not having all the powers to control you, you are also having the powers. You can transparency in the governance occur, okay, and legal shield against land alienation. So earlier, as in from the British time, okay, these tribal communities or the people who are living in close association with the forest areas, they were considered as encroachers, like they are illegally entering in the areas. So because of this PESA Act, they are provided with the legal shield, like nobody will consider them as encroachers. The land where they are living is their own. Okay, although they cannot sell it, they cannot use it for the commercial purposes, but they can utilize the resources, the non-timber forest resources for uh, like earning their livelihoods and to sustain their life. Okay, so these are the important features of PESA Act, right? Community control over, like as I already discussed about this point. Now what are the different challenges? So everything that we are having today, it is having some positive points to discuss, and it is also having some negative points to discuss. So PESA Act is also having some challenges. So what are the different challenges? So sometimes it occur that the state, okay, the state government decide to dilute the powers, and because of which they bypass the gram sabhas. Okay, so when the gram sabhas will not be considered, like they are not in the hierarchy for giving any advisory, so how will they come ahead with the problems they are facing? Okay, so this is one challenge faced by the different states. Bureaucratic dominances. So as I mentioned, like the natural, for dealing the natural resources, gram sabha should have all the powers, like how to utilize the natural resources and how to manage them. But if the bureaucratic, okay, if the bureaucratic dominance will occur in this system, what will happen? All the major decisions will be taken by the bureaucrats, or the centralization of the power will again occur. Okay, and the democracy that the gram sabhas should be provided with, they will not get the democracy to take the decisions. Okay, circumventions for industrial projects. So nowadays we are observing that illegal minings and infrastructure projects, right? So that is a legal loophole or coercive tactic, and that is to bypass the requirements for mandatory gram sabha consultations. So this is a common challenge that we all guys are facing, like all cities or the all the gram sabhas are facing, like the legal loopholes. Okay, like large scale mining and infrastructure projects, they are started in these areas without consulting the gram sabhas, like how will they be affected, what the challenges they will face, like without considering them, all these projects has started. Okay, so this is also a challenge to PESA. Now, inactivity of constitutional protections. So, governors and tribal advisory councils, despite having specific mandates that they have to oversee scheduled areas, rarely exercise their discretionary, like they are not looking at them, they are not considering their problems or challenges. So, this is also challenge. Lack of awareness, like the people who are living in the tribal, like the tribal people or the people who are living the forest areas, they are not so literate, they are not aware about the programs for them, they are not aware about the acts which can protect them, which is also a drawback because they are not digitally sound. Okay, and because of this thing, other peoples are trying to take advantages of them, right? Now what is a way ahead? How this PESA Act, how the challenges occurring in the PESA Act can be resolved, like operationalizing the Gram Sabhas. Okay? So villages must be provided with independent secretariat, direct funding, technical training so that they can manage all their local budgets and social development plans. They can move ahead with the social development plan, and that's how they can work. Another thing, legal convergence. Okay, so this PESA Act, like as we had already covered in the theory classes, so it should come in synchronization with the Forest Right Act of 2006. Okay, and Samata judgment, so that private mining cannot occur without community consent. Right. So restoring, like village authorities should be restored. There should be independent grievance redressal, like if they are facing any challenges, so their problem should be resolved independently. Social audits and monitoring should occur on timely basis to look after the challenges they are facing. Okay, so these are all things that is needed to develop this particular uh, tribal areas, right? So this is all about it. This is very important topic, like why I included this news in today's session, because I felt like in our upcoming mains examination also we can have the questions related to the rural development, and for the 2026 preparations also these topics are very important. Okay, so please guys make sure that you guys will cover this topic. And this is a crash course aspirant. You can take the help of this crash course for your revision. And 2026 complete course is also available on the application of Olive Board. You can take the help of that batch for your 2026 preparations. Right. So I'm ending the session for now. Please let me know if you will be having any queries, and you can connect with me on channel as well. Thank you so much and all the best.